Well, I've got to tell you that what it was really was an apprenticeship. But the reality of it was that the session musicians were actually in London, a very, very closed shop. It was very, you know, it was just like the creme de la creme, really. However, they needed somebody who really knew exactly what was going on with all the music of the day and the source music of it and everything, and also somebody who could come up with his own ideas. And I played on a record anyway, and it got in the lower end of the top 20. And all of a sudden, this sort of behind these closed doors of the creme de la creme, there was like, who's that guitarist on that record? And I was brought in just to, initially, to play exactly what I wanted to. They said, just play what you want. They gave me the chord charts, and it was really fun. You can imagine that, you know, it was good. And then bit by bit, they'd give me like a few dots on, you know, looked like crows on telephone cables, you know. And I realised that I'd have to start reading music. So I started to read music. I was doing all these. I'd be doing 3 sessions a day, 5 sessions a week. So that's 15 sessions. Sometimes I could be playing with a group. Sometimes I could be playing could be doing film music. It could be a folk session. And you know, the thing is that because I listened to all this sort of music, I was able to fit all these different roles. And they probably thought that was really quite cool. And you know, after a while, my ability to read music improved and improved and improved. So really, I just became quite an accepted member within this very privileged society, you know. Being this apprenticeship that became part of the reading of music, it also became part of how things were recorded. You know, I started to learn microphone placements and things like that, what did and what didn't work. I certainly knew what did and didn't work with drummers, because they put drummers in these little sound booths that had no sound deflection at all, and the drums would just sound awful. And the reality of it is that a drum is an acoustic instrument. It relies on, you know, having a bright room and a live room to it, so, or at least a booth or whatever. And so bit by bit, I was learning really how not to record.
This time there was a group and myself and a drummer. I can't remember who the drummer was now. And bit by bit, as the evening went on, another session musician would appear, to be sitting next to the bass player, to be sitting next to the keyboards. And so in the end, you know, it was just sort of Van Morrison, session players, and the group, you know, the session players were just duplicating the group. I mean, and you can imagine the tension. It was just, and, you know, these chaps from Ulster, what they must have thought. It was just so embarrassing, you know, you just sort of had to look at the floor and play because they were glaring, and you know, it could have been like an end of a musical career in one evening. It was so ironic because they put the dots in front of me. They were thinking about it now. There wasn't that much reading, but I just couldn't read it. I'd never bothered or even tried to read music because it just didn't come into the pattern of things up to that point, or even including that point. And then when they said, well, you know, you best play the acoustic, and the other chap played it, it was such a simple sort of riff that he had to play that was written down. Yeah, I was sort of really giving myself hell, and you know, I felt really stupid. Anyhow, that's the way it goes. There were all these sort of groups sort of burning like dynamos all over the country. And as far as the session world had it, the 2 youngest recruits there were Jim Sullivan, Big Jim Sullivan, and Vic Flick. But really, Jim would be the only one that would be in tune with what was sort of happening. So they sort of pulled me out by the scruff of my neck, I suppose, and gave me an opportunity to have a go. Now this time it was a different story.